Will go on the record. This is an evidentiary hearing before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission in a cause docketed before the Commission as cause number 46188, captioned as Petition of Indiana American Water Company, Inc. for 1, approval of its plan for proposed service enhancement improvements pursuant to Indiana Code Chapter 8131.7. 2, authority to timely recover 80% of the service enhancement improvement costs through its SEI rider. 3, authority to create regulatory assets to record A, 20% of the service enhancement improvement costs, and B, post-in-service carrying costs compounded monthly and based on the overall cost of capital most recently approved by the Commission, and deferred depreciation until such costs are reflected in rates, and 4, approval of other related rate-making relief and tariff proposals consistent with Indiana Code Chapter 8131.7. Notice of the time and place of the hearing was given as provided by law by publication in Marion County in the Indianapolis Star on April 15th, 2025, and in Johnson County in the Daily Journal on April 15th, 2025. These are newspapers of general circulation, and these publications were made at least 10 days prior to the date of the evidentiary hearing. The proofs of publication of the notices have been received by the Commission and are now incorporated into the record of this cause by reference and placed in the official files of the Commission. Notice has also been given to the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor and other interested parties. May we have appearances, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. On behalf of Petitioner Indiana American Water Company, Inc., Hillary Close and Nicholas Kyle of the law firm Barnes & Thornburg, LLP.
Good morning, Your Honor. Appearing on behalf of the OUCC, Jason Haas, representing the public.
Ms. Close, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding the OUCC has cross-examination for Mr. Hobbs. We do have other exhibits that we could offer at this time prior to that, or I can offer them after Mr. Hobbs has taken the stand.
I think prior would be good. Let's start with those.
Okay, then at this time, I will offer what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 2, the direct testimony of Philip J. Drennan, sponsoring attachments PJD1 through PJD3, and Petitioner's Exhibit Number 4, Petitioner's response to the June 3rd docket entry request.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Petitioner's Exhibits 2 and 4 are admitted into the record of this cause.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I would call Mr. Matthew Hobbs.
Okay, we'll go off the record.
Yeah, kick it.
Okay. Will do.
We'll go back on the record. Mr. Hobbs, can you please raise your right hand? I'd like to swear you in. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may lower your hand. And if you could move that microphone even closer and talk very clearly and slowly for our court reporter, please. Thank you. Ms. Close.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Hobbs. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Matthew Harrison Hobbs II.
And by whom are you employed and in what capacity?
Indiana American Water, Director of Engineering.
And for purposes of this proceeding, have you caused your testimony to be submitted in written question and answer format?
Yes.
Before you, you should have what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 1, the public direct testimony that you've submitted in this cause. Do you see that?
Yes.
And does that consist of your direct testimony in this proceeding?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have any corrections to your direct testimony?
Yes.
Can you walk through what that correction is?
It is a date, and you're talking what we discussed earlier.
Do you have a correction to your direct testimony? We
no,
will
no
cover
corrections.
rebuttal
No,
in a
I'm sorry.
moment.
No corrections to my direct.
And you should also have in front of you what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 1C. That is the confidential attachments to your direct testimony. There's that volume in front of you. There's an entire box down on the floor that has multiple volumes in it. Is that the confidential portion of your direct testimony in this cause?
It appears so, yes.
And do you have any corrections to your confidential attachments to your direct?
No.
You should also have in front of you what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 3, consisting of the public rebuttal testimony that you offered in this cause. Do you have that?
Yes.
And do you have any corrections to your rebuttal testimony?
Yes, there was a date corrected as 2013 and a flow rate calculated, corrected to 5 gallons per minute per square foot.
Can you tell us the page and line numbers and mark that in that court reporter copy and initial that change? What page are you on, Mr. Hobbs?
Page 15?
Of your rebuttal testimony?
That's correct.
And line, can you tell me what line?
Lines 3 and 4.
So on line 3, the correction is to the date you said?
Changed from 2014 to 2013.
Okay. And line 4,
Changed from 4.5 gallons per minute per square foot to 5 gallons per minute per square foot.
thank you. And have you marked and initialed that in the court reporter's copy?
Yes.
Do you have any further corrections to your rebuttal testimony?
No.
You should also have in front of you what's been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit Number 3C, which is the confidential portion of your rebuttal testimony. Do you see that? I believe it's just a CD.
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any corrections to that confidential portion?
No.
Do you adopt the direct, confidential direct rebuttal and confidential rebuttal testimony as your sworn testimony and evidence in this proceeding?
Yes.
Your Honor, petitioner would offer Petitioner's Exhibits 1, 1C, 3, and 3C into the record.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Petitioner's Exhibits 1, 1C, 3, and 3C are admitted into the record of this cause.
Thank you, Your Honor. The witness is now available for cross-examination.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Haas?
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. So regarding Mr. Park's testimony, you take issue with his comparison of the cost per million gallons of rated capacity between Seymour Water Treatment Plant and other treatment plants. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, can we go off the record for a moment?
We'll go off the record.
Can we have him look at Mr. Park's testimony? Is that, I wanted to ask him questions about Mr. Park's. Yes.
Okay.
Ready, yes.
Yes.
We'll go back on the record.
Thank you. Mr. Hobbs, could you please take a look at page 22 of Mr. Park's testimony? That's the table, table 3 with the comparisons that you take issue with.
Page 22?
Yes.
Yes, I see.
On, in that table, he calculated the cost per million gallons of rated capacity for Mishawaka as $5.77 million per million gallons. Do you see that?
I do.
The calculation that was done for Seymour included what was previously a confidential number. Would you take issue with the rated capacity for Mishawaka and for Seymour in that table?
Yes.
And what is the issue that you take with that?
That's not the capacity that was permitted by IDEM.
The rated capacity or the firm capacity?
Let me check my testimony real quick here. Yeah, the IDEM permit states 8.2 million gallons per day firm. IDEM doesn't permit rated, they permit firm capacities.
So do you also take issue with the 6 million gallon rated capacity for the Seymour facility?
Seymour was permitted as 4.5 million gallons per day firm.
Is its rated capacity 6 million gallons per day?
That's the hydraulic capacity.
So, okay, the looking at the number for Seymour, would it be appropriate to calculate the cost per million gallons per day using the $56,833,000 amount?
We don't try to estimate costs based on cost per million gallons per day.
I understand that is your concern, but would it be appropriate to use that amount?
No, because we have actual costs for Seymour.
Do you have actual cost at this point for Seymour?
Their target costs,
What is the target cost?
that is the cost that we have throughout the design build process that's been generated throughout. That's the cost at the beginning of when the project starts. So yes, I would consider those very close to real costs versus a comparison of cost per million gallon. For Mishawaka, that was bid in 2021.
In your rebuttal testimony on page 18, you indicate that $56,833,000 is the most up-to-date estimate from the design build team. Is there a different number that we should be evaluating in this proceeding?
Costs are forecast every month. The current forecast, which I don't have in front of me, because I don't believe it was ever requested through data request, is very close to the $56 million cost presented in my rebuttal testimony, excuse me, my direct testimony.
So I guess based on the most recent cost, which we have, which is the $56,833,000, divided by the 6 million gallons per day, would you agree, subject to check, that that's $9.47 million per million gallons? Would you like a calculator to
No, I
confirm?
don't need a calculator. Again, using historic cost per million gallon for the projects that Mr. Parks presented in his table varies vastly. And that's predominantly due to those costs traced back to the before 2020 pre-pandemic escalations. So yes, we rely on actual costs provided throughout our design build proposal process and as forecasts project and progress throughout our process.
And Mr. Hobbs, I understand that's your position, but would you agree, subject to check, that $56,833,000 divided by 6 million gallons per day is $9.47 million per million gallons?
Well, I don't know what the math is, but
Would you like a calculator to confirm that?
no, I'm good.
Okay.
No, I would not agree with that's a correct methodology in predicting costs for a project that's actual and is,
And
within a week, has been broken ground. So yes, I agree with our current costs presented for Seymour.
Your Honor, can we go off the record for one moment?
We'll go off the record.
Can we put in front of him our cross-exhibit 1?
Okay.
We'll go back on the record.
Mr. Hobbs, what has been placed in front of you are the OUCC's cross-exhibit 1 and cross-exhibit 1C, which are various discovery request responses from Indiana American to the OUCC. Do you have those before you?
I do.
Did you prepare those, or were you involved in the preparation of those responses?
Yes, we had a team of individuals internally that helped prepare these.
Your Honor, I would move to introduce OUCC's CX1 and CX1C into the record.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Publix exhibits CX1 and CX1C are admitted into the record of this cause.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you could, please take a look at the DR response to 3-1. It's near the end, I'm sorry.
A lot of stuff. It is near the end. I have it in front of me.
Thank you. And in that response, you state, or Indiana American states, about the differences between the Mishawaka and the Seymour plant. It states in part that the scope of work between the projects is different. There's differences in architecture, residual management, clear water volume, et cetera. Is that correct?
Correct.
You say that you spoke to the project manager for the Mishawaka Jude Creek project. Is that correct?
That is one of the sources of information. Correct.
Did you speak to someone from the facility?
I spoke to the project manager and another individual involved personally.
Which project manager did you speak with? And do you know who they work for?
DLZ is the engineering firm. I spoke with Anthony Kenning, who is a project engineer, project manager, and I cannot remember the individual's name, who is, I believe he's located in the Mishawaka office, but I cannot remember the individual's name, but he was the project manager.
And the purpose of this call was to understand the scope and the features of Mishawaka's facility.
Yes, Mr. Parks brought forward Mishawaka as a comparison. The attachments that he provided were essentially a kind of a time-lapse video of construction, as well as a kind of a local news article found on the internet. So I wanted to get the specific differences. So I used a variety of sources, but I figured the best way would be to talk direct with the project manager who lived the project from beginning to end.
When you say a variety of sources, were there other sources than this news article and your communications with them?
Yeah, there was quite a few sources.
And were these provided in response to DR31?
One of them was, it was a summary from Mishawaka Water's website that described the initial capacity, the facility's ability to expand to 15 million gallons per day, and just kind of some high-level descriptions of the plant, I believe.
What other documents did you rely on in your assessment?
There's the IDEM permit. There was actually quite a few sources online that showed Revit models, and what Revit is, it's a 3D model of the facility. There was a couple different renderings of that model that were very helpful to see kind of what the differences were between Seymour and a facility like Mishawaka. So various internet sources as well.
Is there a reason why it wasn't included with the DR response, all these other sources?
No, I got most of my summary described from 3.1 from the references, IDEM permit, past news articles, and the such.
Did you receive any documents directly from Mishawaka?
Not directly from Mishawaka, no.
So,
I really didn't need them because the facility, for one, was bid in 2021. And interestingly enough, when I spoke with the PM, he told me they got a bargain for that plant. And they're glad that it was bid the time it was as compared to our project.
Did you, when I asked if you received any documents from Mishawaka, I also wanted to include DLZ in that. Did you receive any documents from DLZ?
The bid tab.
Do you?
And I really didn't need any other documents. There's plenty of photos online, exterior, internally, some of which Mr. Parks provided as well. The facilities they're both groundwater facilities, but the big difference between the two is filtration for one. The Mishawaka facility, much larger building, filters included inside. There's vast differences in residuals management. The wells themselves are located very close to the facility. They're just different facilities. Yes, they're both groundwater facilities. Mishawaka treats for arsenic, Seymour does not, so they're different. But the biggest difference is when they were bid. 2021 versus 2024 and 25. Those are two completely different construction timelines. Construction economics have changed drastically during that time.
Mr. Parks used the $60 million 2025 cost that you pointed out in your testimony. Does that change your evaluation of the bid cost?
No, not at all, because I did not agree with his methodology to come up with the, I believe, 40 million assessment based on the 1.01. I have to reference my testimony on exactly, but you cannot predict pricing based on historical projects and pre-pandemic timelines. Our pricing is based on actual pricing. Competitively bid, design, build, proposal process, and it's being constructed right now.
Did you ask DLZ for the rated capacity of the Mishawaka plant?
It wasn't necessary. They stated on their website exactly the same as Mishawaka states it on their website. I believe Mr. Parks even provided that in his testimony.
Would you agree that firm and rated capacities are important parameters to know for the different treatment plants?
IDM permits based on firm.
I understand, but would you agree that firm and rated capacities are important to know?
All I care about is what IDM permits. That's what we base our design around.
But the plant is built for, the rated capacity is different than the permitted capacity.
Please restate your question.
Is the rated capacity more than what is permitted by IDEM?
I suppose, but IDM doesn't care about rated, they care about firm.
So you spoke about some of the differences between the Mishawaka plant and the Seymour plant. You stated that the building was larger, the filtration is larger. Are there other differences that you have, other differences that you've noted?
Yeah, I state those in the DR response. Which response are we talking about again here?
It was 3-1. You also included that in your rebuttal testimony on page 24. You discussed the differences between the Mishawaka and Seymour plant. Is that correct?
Right. And it's important to note that there's differences that show that each facility is not the same. But honestly, Mishawaka was able to do more with their facility for the costs that they got. And it all traces back to, Your Honor, when the project was bid. If you compare 2021 bid pricing to now, it's night and day. There is no comparison. So yes, there's differences. They got a lot done for their price. Good for them for bidding in 2021.
Let's move on to the Allendale booster station. On page 67 of your direct testimony, do you have that in front of you?
State the page again, please.
Page 67 of your direct testimony.
Okay, I'm there.
You state the total average day and maximum day demands for the areas served by the Allendale Pump Station are estimated to be 1.17 and 1.64 million gallons per day, respectively.
I do?
Why are these demands estimated?
Came from planning engineers.
Is there a meter at the booster station to monitor and record actual flows?
That I cannot confirm.
If the project were to be expanded or to replaced as it is proposed, wouldn't actual demands be important to know in determining the need and magnitude of the proposed improvements?
The Allendale Booster Station was built in 1930. It's well past its intended life. The project that we're proposing is a direct replacement for the existing station, matching the existing flows.
I understand.
However, we say estimated versus actual, we're not increasing the size of the station. It's a direct replacement because it was built in 1930 and it's past its useful life.
Your Honor, I have some questions regarding confidential testimony at this point.
Okay, is there any way that they can be asked without revealing the confidential testimony?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. Then we will go in camera. We will go back on the record. The in-camera session has ended. Mr. Haas, you may proceed.
Thank you. Could you please refer to your rebuttal testimony, pages 70, 71? Those are the pictures of the Allendale booster station.
I believe they start on 69, if you're including all of them.
There seems to be some corrosion on the pipes. Is that correct?
It appears so.
Can failure to maintain the coatings shorten the life of those pipes?
I would say anything built in 1930 is at its end of its life and is cause for concern.
Are those pipes from 1930?
I would assume so.
Is there a reason why Indiana American hasn't addressed the corrosion on those pipes? By, removing the corrosion and applying a protective layer?
Well, we have infrastructure all over the state, and it's difficult to address everything all at once. There's failing infrastructure all over the state.
Is that Indiana American standard for maintaining coatings on pipes and equipment?
Absolutely not. We can coat something, but it still doesn't change the fact that it was built in 1930.
Do these pictures represent the best practices of Indiana American to maintain the facility?
Absolutely not.
Your Honor, I have no more cross-exam for Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs, thank you very much for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Ms. Close, redirect.
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll go off the record. We're going to take a 15-minute break. It's 9:56 right now, so we'll plan to be back at 10:10. We're off the record. Okay, we'll go back on the record. We'd like to take a 15-minute break, so we'll plan to be back at about 10:10. We'll go off the record. We'll go back on the record. And Ms. Close, you said you had no redirect for Mr. Hobbs?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. We have no questions, Mr. Hobbs, so you're excused. Thank you. Anything further from petitioner Ms. Close?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Haas, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. The OUCC moves for the entry of Public's Exhibit Number 1, testimony of James Parks. Public's Exhibit 1C, the confidential testimony and attachments of James Parks. And Public's Exhibit 2, testimony of Carl Seals.
Any objections?
No objection.
Public's Exhibits 1, 1C, and 2 are admitted into the record of this cause.
Thank you, Your Honor. Nothing further from the OUCC.
Okay, thank you. And we discussed the post-hearing filings before going on the record today, and they were noted in the pre-hearing conference order, and those dates have not changed. So thank you, everyone, for that. Is there anything further from either party before we adjourn?
No,
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.
Thank you.